Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. For your information, this forum is implemented to meet our group assignment criteria for the subject of Islamic accounting. My name is Nur Anis Nabila binti Muhammad Razwan. I will conduct this forum until the end. Before we go through our topic, let me introduce my group members. Nur Shahira as panel 1. Damia as panel 2, next is Ain Janati as panel 3, and Fatin as the 4th panel member. For your information, our topic is related to accounting for humanity and help our community. As we know, during the recent semester break, we all went to interview entrepreneur, individual with payslip, and also street worker, right? So we go to see a community and identify each group monthly or yearly income by collecting income statement from each group. We talk to them and give them advice that income statement can be a key indication of how expenditures change over time. With that, we know that not all people are aware of the importance of doing monthly statement. Do you have any idea why we all do all of this? Actually, this way we can indicate the person financial stability and whether or not they are on the stable side. The purpose for this assignment is we know that each monthly income is different and each class has their priority and their commitment to pay off. We can help them identify whether or not each of those commitments are relevant or just a plain waste of resources. By managing their incomes, we can help them gain the ability to meet their financial statement or obligation such as paying off their bills. If we can help them with managing their finances, then they would be less stressed seeing they have everything planned out, right guys? So as everyone know, we have managed to find the street worker, entrepreneur, and also individual with payslip to interview. I would like to ask panel 1 actually how the process and finding were carried out. So panel 1, can you answer my question?
Okay, thank you Annie for the question. So the question is how we find these three group of people. After discussion with my group members, finally we decided to rent a car to find two group people who are entrepreneurs and individual with payslip, while another one group which is a street hawker. One of our group member decided to interview her father's friend during mid-semester break at her hometown. So on Tuesday of the week before the mid-sem break, we all decided to rent a car and drove around Kedah and Perlis looking for entrepreneurs and people with payslip to interview. For entrepreneurs, when we were driving, suddenly we saw a closed store in the Panga area. Without wasting time, we stopped by the store. Then we asked permission to meet the owner of the store so that we could ask some questions related to his financial standing as a closed entrepreneur. His name is Mr. Shaharu. After we explained the purpose we want to interview him, he agreed to have an interview session with next for street hawker. During the mid-sem break assembly, one of our group members decided to have an interview session with Mr. Wanden, who is work as a street hawker in Kelantan. He opened a food stall next to the highway named Selera Nasi Ulam. In addition, he also take catering orders for anyone who needs catering service as his side income. So, my group member asked Mr. Wande some questions related to his monthly income estimate, the asset he has, the expenses he spends for every month, and so on, in order to know their financial standing as a street hawker. And lastly, for individual with payslip, by finding person with a payslip is a tough task because some individuals does not want to share and show their payslip because they are concerned about fraud. Due to time limitation, we prefer to meet individuals with payslip at random throughout Jitra Kedah. So we went to eat at a restaurant since it was lunchtime. we noticed a bunch of women wearing baju kurung dining in the restaurant corner as we were eating. So after we eat, we plan to greet one of them who is not too busy and get permission for our interview. Finally, she trusts us as a student at University Utara Malaysia. So one of them volunteered to be interviewed and share details about her employment and his income slip. And we successfully gathered info on an individual named Miss Siti Musliha, and as a result, we discovered Miss Siti Musliha is a staff member at the District and Land Office in Kubang Kedah. Since the meeting was unplanned, she didn't have much time and agreed to give us her phone number in case that we need more information. So this is the way how we find these three group of people to interview.
Okay, it seems difficult to find someone who willing to be in interview. It can be said that it is the best experience that all group members can feel. Interview were made based on 3 different groups, so there are many differences that we can find in the financial statement. Among the differences we can find in these 3 groups is the difference in terms of financial stability, which group has the most saving and which group has the most expenses. So panel 2, may I ask you a question? What significant differences do you find from these 3 groups that distinguish their position and the strength of their financial stability?
Okay. As we can see here, Mr. Shahrum, like UME Corporation, we cater to the sole property, is profitable thanks to the present debt of supply in both our balance sheet and the income statement. However, the surplus money is relatively tiny and cannot handle emergency instead of their arrive in their future. So, UME Corporation Berhad has a lower total income that for street hawker and pupil and regular salary. This is because the corporation can only rely on its own fund of operations. In addition to having it cover its own costs without help from its shareholder, the firm has limited space like cash flow and so on. As a result, like Mr. Wanzin, a street hawker that we interviewed. And then Mr. Wanzin put his earned money with the company to comply with the Sharia law, and now he has a surplus of this size. We then discovered that Mr. Wanzin, the financial assured individual, since he has no financial obligation aside from the motor automobile and business rental, the other operation costs. Furthermore, the significant number of expenditure by the Mr. Wanzin can be handled by with a daily salary, which has more and more customers, so there is no difficult in terms of capital turnover. In addition, Ms. Musliha has a surplus of a fund, so we can calculate the deficit value or the surplus value for her. Since her husband paid for the majority for family costs, she is able to put away as much as her month's salary waste as possible, as shown by the income statement and the balance sheet. This demonstrates that Ms. Musliha has the financial withdrawal between the supply and her salary saving. Next, we can see here from this deficit and the surplus that even the relative to big debt, a person may take a progress in the future, provide their deserve in their fund wisely. Next, we will compare the 3 people in the next section based on their level of saving. Like Mr. Shahrum has said, are better because he can pay off his debt and liability, and his net saving is stable and improved because the incoming cash is sufficient to cover his outgoing costs and put something aside for retirement. As a result, street hawker like Mr. Wanzin must also be careful in tracking all his business expenditure, like falling to the so might have adverse effect to the health of his organizations. Okay, first, and then Ms. Musliha, the income is also lower than the average of the people whose pay slip. Then we assess to because she received only a monthly salary from a company and no other income in the side. Therefore, in order to get net saving from becoming negative, Ms. Musliha must regulate the inflow and outflow of her funds. Okay, the next step is to compare both of them through a secure source in income or other asset. For business owner, it ensures that steady flow of fund by keeping step in the daily revenue generated by their company while wholesale sale. This had guaranteed that Mr. Shahram business as sufficient fund to meet operation costs that Mr. Shahram accept at greater than his obligation. The next is we can learn that street hawker provide a steady income. A true one that live must be desired in the long-term stability. So in the same way, even compared to the who has the payslip, I think we think their debt rate is acceptable. Furthermore, street hawkers do not have a lot of money of asset and thus they do not have a lot of responsibility, so the loss of asset is not terrible for them. However, the liability rate for those who are get pay slip just is rather high, more than the two others. Then this means your income is precious and your need to be watched by spending closely in keep to the dipping into the red. Like basic user have a very low rate at asset value expression as a result. Okay. The attitude difference between these three people can be described by for business owner, the cost is excessive in comparison to the amount of the money generated. This is because his ability is a cost execute the running to the shop, including to the limitation like staff wage, rent, utilities, supply cost, and so on. So Mr. Shahram also has the number of standing debt and might be improved his exposure to ledger responsibility. This demonstrates his positive outlook by running the business. Next, we can see the maintain a healthy balance monthly simply by his requirement. He also a investment for his own. Okay, and next, more demonstrate Mr. Wanzing long-term thinking and constant to the financial security. And for individual payslip, we can also notice that Ms. Musliha need to practice discipline. This because her compensation limit her spending at a reasonable level. Okay, the last one is the economic disparity between both groups will be shown in the next sections. Okay, our research show that it is attractive to the sole property, but he has to watch out for loss and all business must account for them. Okay, and then he also invests in his company for short term for Mr. Shahram. He is smart because when he have high case and out being shocked, he can pay that or it over. And then Mr. Shahram should practice smart financial management for better safeguard of his financial future. The next is street hawker come in second because your financial situation is better than the Mr. Shahram. It is due that Mr. Wanzai excellent financial management. For instance, we can see from his earning that he does not rely just on money on street hawker, but he also accepts catering order in other side. His other future strategy is involved investing. When we look at the pay slip for each employee, we can see Ms. Musliha is the lowest case because it is due to the fact that all she needs is the value of her jewelry and bank account. That's why we think Ms. Musliha should consider investing as a potential source for the future income. That's all from me.
Okay, first I think we will find some differences, but apparently there are many differences that distinguish the financial position of the three groups that we are interviewed. Looking at the income statement made by us, we can see that a street worker is a person who is considered as ordinary, but he has a lot of saving. If Mr. Wanzin pay attention to this income statement and balance sheet, it is not impossible for him to become a successful entrepreneur in the future, right? You guys agree with me? Okay, so panel 3, do you have any suggestion or solution for these three groups to continue and focus on their financial stability?
Thank you, moderator. For solution and suggestion for these three group of people, I can see that Mr. Shahram as an entrepreneur and Mr. Wanzid as a street hawker have stable and strong finance. These are the income earned at their money spent. But they must be cautious in spending as their income may differ from month to month, either decrease or increase, depend on the economic result. As a result, they can improve their sales by running promotion to sell their business or adding items and product to their sale. So for Miss Siti Musliha, as an individual who have a salary slip, must be careful in their spending since she depend only their monthly income generated, where they must be aware and differentiate expenses between necessities and desire. However, the income for individual payslip will be fixed every month and may increase if she works overtime to acquire additional income to cover daily costs. So that is the solution and suggestion for the three group of people.
Thank you, Penetri, for your suggestion and possible solution. That's actually a good solution. After we consult with them about the importance of income statement and also balance sheet, panel 1, do you think they will continue with the financial plan as explained today during the interview session? What do you think, panel 1?
Okay. For Mr. Shahrul, he does a financial plan for his business. This is because as an entrepreneur, he has many risks that can occur at any time. Among the most feared risk is bankruptcy. So, do a plan for his business financial is very important for him. Every transaction, revenue, expenses, debt, and so on, he will do a balance sheet and income statement and put it in the file as a reference. He also invests in investment and future plan in financing for his business. As for Mr. Wanzin, who works as a street hawker, he didn't plan his financial for business because he said that every day after he closed the store, he only record the daily sale result and spread the bills that need to be stated. And while in every month, he will record his fixed expenses such as rent, car loan, electric bill, Wi-Fi bill, phone, and so on. So he just do a random calculation. He didn't do a balance sheet or income statement calculation for his business. Okay, luckily for individual with payslip, Siti Musliha also didn't plan her financial like do the calculation for herself. But every time when she gets a salary, he will set aside some money from his salary to keep in the bank. That's all.
Thank you, panel 1, for your answer. Okay, before this, we know that they did not do those things. Hopefully, after this, they will realize that it is important for them to maintain their financial stability by planning their finances. Okay, panel 4, I would like to ask you about challenges doing the financing plan. Are there any challenges? If yes, what are the challenges?
Okay, thank you, moderator. Now I will proceed the challenges that I faced during this project. Connecting this research has been quite the experience. In the early stage of this experiment, we had trouble deciding a few things like who we're going to interview, how we do it, how we search for them, and how to manage the time that's suitable to interview. Okay, but the main concern during this study is the people we are going to interview. This raises as the concern because we never thought that anyone will be participate in our research. We know that financial aspect are personal issue and people would rather not share their financial situations with other people. We can't just randomly ask people to tell us about their financial situations. It might come to other as well. So this will be upsetting to some people. So we had to decide on how we should approach them and how we should conduct the interview. Luckily, there are some great individuals who will cooperate with us. So this made our research is a lot easier. Then after obtaining the data, we list down all the factors and aspects for each financial income. It was quite the arduous task. Each type of income has its own advantages and disadvantages. When it's come to it, we could only decide that for each income will ultimately fit their current situations. That adaptability of their income to their situation is make it so advantageous. So we we could decide which is better. However, we can tell is the experience we gain from this research is priceless. Without the encouragement from Dr. Amir Hakim, we wouldn't even trying to do such as activity. So props to him. Okay, next, what we have learned from this project. So throughout the duration of this research, we learned some valuable lessons along the way. The first would be validity of data, in which we need to choose the correct person for us to interview. The way we can get optimal information from them is then after the obtaining the required data, we learn how to manage the financial incomes. This has shown to be one of the more crucial lessons in financial knowledge is the key in today's society. With the great management, we can play out and make some decisions based on our financial standing. Then, at the end of the research, we realize how the vital it is to have financial knowledge. We can make various plans, achieve several goals, and at the same time have enough to cover ourselves and the people we love. That is the most important lesson for all. Thank you.
Okay, so in conclusion, understanding different groups of different incomes have really left something within all of us. Managing and advising people on how they should manage their expenses might be a little impolite. However, we need to help in order for them to help themselves in using their money wisely. Financial income is extremely important for everyone. So I think that's the end of our discussion session that related to accounting for humanity and help our community. So that's all from our group. So thank you all. Thank you.
Every sha la la la